Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again. Similar project to the ones I've been doing. I've been stuck on this end grain kick here lately. I dig the way it looks in the finished product. So here we go. I had this piece of cedar and this piece of pine that have been chilling, needing to be cut to pieces. So ran them through the table saw to get them both the same dimensions, little squares, roughly the size that I wanted the pieces on my chessboard to be. And then right here I wasn't taking great care. I was just kind of cutting manageable little pieces for the first glue up. Laid them all out on my clamps. And then just spread out some wood glue that I had laying around and glue them up and let them sit for a while, obviously alternating between the cedar and the pine every other piece. Put a board on top to keep it kind of flat. Didn't really succeed, did the best I could. And it was pretty straight on one side, so I was able to run it through the table saw and then run it on through. Ideally you want 9 pieces right here, because your chessboard is going to be 8 by 8, 64 squares, 8 in each direction. I went ahead and did 10 to leave myself some room, 1 for error, but 2 for cutting it at the very last step to make the final square. You want a little bit of wiggle room there. Then I ran these over on my sander, my belt sander, to get them as flat as I could. Again, would have been nice to have a planer in this project, but I just don't have one, so work with what you got. Now with that done, you turn them all on end so that your end grain is going to be facing up. And this is the important step, is staggering each other block so that you have the design of the chessboard. I took as much care as I could and tried to really be careful with lining them up just perfect. There was a couple spots that were pretty daggum close, but not exactly perfect. So you can tell it's handmade. It's certainly not a bought chessboard, I'll tell you that. Finally put on a mask, because this thing generates quite a bit of dust even out in the open air. I used a circular saw to cut off one side so that I could put it through the table saw. This is that wiggle room I was talking about. I left enough room where I could cut all 4 sides and get a nice actual square. Then for a little bit of contrasting frame, I had this pine. I've got a whole bunch of these strips of pine for some reason, and ran those all through the table saw, and then did my best to cut some mitered corners up. Could have done better. There was a little bit of gaps in them at the end, so I used some of this sawdust that's laying around everywhere and filled in the gaps. No big deal. As far as this goes, I've got this band clamp right here, and I don't really use the ratchet too much to really tighten it down, but it's really good for gluing up something and holding all the pieces in place and keeping all your stuff together. So I let that sit up for a while. Here's what I was saying. I filled in those gaps. They were few and far between, but this step right here I only show you like 2 seconds, but I sanded forever and a day. A lot of sanding to get this looking smooth. Then a little bit of mineral oil. This butcher block conditioner I've been using really brings out all the color. And to be honest with you, I was hoping for more of a contrasting color in the pine and cedar, but I like the way it ended up. Nevertheless, you can tell which are which, and it's really easy to play on. There's no confusion. That's all for this one. Thanks for watching. Y'all take it easy.